call to order the Thursday, May 8th, 2025 Federal Planning Commission meeting. First item of business is approval of minutes from April 10th.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We tabled a rezoning request from A1 to B, MUB2 on Butler Road from Protea Development and Busey Development. At this time, we'll just open this up for public comment. Yes. Name and state your address, please.
So I'm Brittany Gillen. I'm with CEI Engineering, 2600 Northeast 11th Street, Bentonville, Arkansas. We had the public hearing last time.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to let you know that since we were tabled last meeting, and we listened to the public, we took notes, we went back and looked at the code. We did find that we would like to downgrade to MUB1 instead of MUB2. This takes away, this moves this portion of items to no. Automotive salvage, construction companies, freight depots, metal scrap salvage, mini storage units, mobile home sales, moving services, pool sales, towing, impound, and warehouses. This also moves over 50 items that are usually either yes or permitted to conditional use, which would, with a large scale regard, or you'd be required to come back with your large scale anyways, but this would take another step of conditional use permitting to even allow it. And it is not the owner's intent to reduce or degrade this area. He is a local. He would like to improve and watch this town flourish. And yeah, from what I understand, there would be no public hearing today for this item.
So you basically want to pull MUB2 request and go to one?
MUB1, yeah.
Okay. So with that, then, I mean, we can just, we probably need to vote to deny it. I believe it would be the case, and then they would reapply as MUB1.
Well,
Yes.
Cliff Rogers, I'm with CI Engineering as well. I just want to make sure you guys don't have any time limits when it comes to denying something. I know in certain cities, when you guys deny, then we're not allowed to come back for sometimes 6 months to a year.
We clarify, as long as you're not asking for the same zoning request,
Yeah,
there's no time restriction.
Lower.
I think though, we can initiate the deal, the planning commission can say, this is something we're more comfortable with.
Sure.
Right.
And we can allow that, so we can vote on it tonight.
No.
You can initiate a rezoning into but it would require another public hearing next month, so
Oh, okay.
it would have to come back next month. You can initiate the rezoning, but it would have to come back as a advertised public hearing.
And if they initiate it,
Either way,
Same time frame, either way.
there's still an open community conversation in another vote.
Asking for a different zoning class.
I hate that it has to take another month, because I actually appreciate the fact that they would take a lot of that out of there. That would be something that I would have more of a hiccup with, whereas that is then, that's the compromise, you're meeting in the middle or meeting the needs of the community. It's almost like we're punishing them for that then if we table or we make it another month.
We do it in the way the policy is written, there's no way of getting around it. And when you
What it
change,
does, what it would do, if the planning commission decides to initiate this, what it would do is it would take the burden off of them to go back through the process of reapplying, sending notices out to property owners, that sort of thing. The process is different if the planning commission initiates it.
And I'm sure they'd rather do that than.
Oh, yeah.
I like coming here. The air is nicer here.
So,
Do we need to make a motion to deny this?
or do we?
we still need to have public comment, but then yes, we make a motion to deny.
Or initiate.
Right, well, you still deny this request and initiate a new one.
Okay.
Is the way I understand it, so.
Do we have public comment before we do that?
Mhm. Y'all have anything else to present on this?
Thank you for
Okay.
joining the time today.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
All right, does everyone in the public understand what we just said? And basically, the developers have decided they're good with lowering it down one zone to MUB one as opposed to MUB two. So that would take out, as she said, several businesses such as auto body repair, the list, construction companies, big box companies, big boxes.
And then it would also change the process on a lot of other commercial uses to where they would be permitted by conditional use, which means they're not permitted outright. To get that use, you would have to come to the planning commission and ask for it. If the planning commission felt like it wasn't appropriate for the location, they could deny it.
A conditional use also sticks with the person building it, so if it were to sell, the next person that comes in would have to bring their plan to us again, that way. Cause I think, I missed last meeting, I'm sorry, but the big concern is, it's not necessarily what they're building, it's what the zoning then lets us do. And so by using a conditional use, we get a lot more control on what this particular builder gets to do there.
And you can also approve a request with conditions. So let's say they approve I'm just gonna throw something out there, a coffee shop. But the coffee shop is next to some residential structures and they feel like there needs to be screening above and beyond what the code calls for. Because it's conditional, they can require them to do above and beyond what the code calls for. They can add conditions to the approval, which gives them a lot more control.
With that, yes, if you would have time, please state your name and address and we'll.
Amanda Burcham, 1550 Butler Road. I just wanted to ask the question, is there anything that is automatically approved under the MUB one? I think I said that right. Or is it all conditional? I just
No,
wanted to
I mean,
understand.
no, there is a whole list of things that would be permitted under that zoning.
Is there a way before the next meeting for us to see that? Is
Sure,
that-
it's on the website.
It's on the website.
Mhm.
I couldn't find it. So it's on the Prairie Grove
Nope.
website.
Go to the planning commission tab
Yes, sir.
and you'll see some PDFs there at the bottom.
Yes, sir.
One of them will say the development code.
Yes, sir.
That's where you're gonna find it.
Thank you very much.
It's a large document.
Yes, yes.
Great.
But it's in section 4.5.4 is that list that shows all those items that
That
are
are
permitted.
automatic versus what's.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank
Yes,
you.
you're welcome.
4.5.4.
Mhm. Anyone else?
So. Helen Hadabaugh, 405 Center Point Church Road. I know that I'm under 3 minutes, but I'm gonna do a little show and tell. Back at the April 10th meeting, Larry, the question was brought up that, why weren't we notified about this parcel right here via certified mail, like we were on what I'm referring to as parcel B, right? And you made the comment that, this was Larry Ulrich stated that the approval on parcel A west of 25.45 acres was included in the citywide approval along with an update of various things that the whole city of PG could not be contacted individually about. I have a two-part question in regards to that. The whole city of Prairie Grove was not affected by the review of that parcel. So why weren't we, the neighboring residents, notified the same way we were notified about this? Okay, second question. The planning commission approved rezoning, and I know it's changed now that they've changed their rezoning code, but you approved it and we asked that it be disclosed. What are they building? And nothing was disclosed. So several of the concerns of each of the surrounding homeowners quickly. Value of home, property depreciating depending on what might be built, infrastructure of property affecting the surrounding homes, flooding, sewage, etc. High volume traffic where Center Point Church Road is going to connect to the new middle school built northwest of this parcel A, or what I'm referring to as parcel A here. So my concern is, and I'm showing a comparison of Northwest Arkansas Fayetteville, right? So on 15th Street, this subdivision, which is approximately 30 acres, there's about 76 to 78 residential homes here. You can see where 100-year floodplain has been added because of this infrastructure. So in comparison, I'm comparing, here's 30 acres, here's 4 or 5 acres, and you're gonna go in and do this infrastructure. And I know there's a lot of things that go into there, the rainfall and all that stuff, but here's an example. These houses were built 2 to 3 years ago. And the reason why I know this is because I work for Hannah's Candle Company. I've been there 28 years, and they own this property that I have highlighted in black. And they, you can see that their property now has a 100-year plan. And I bring this up because April 19th, I live right here, okay? This is the corner of my property, flooded.
Thank you for your comment.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Roger Rolling, 1551 East Butler Road. And I guess all I really want to say is the last meeting, Larry had mentioned the property west of us of Center Point Road. They've been trying to get that for development for years. I don't know why it hasn't. Larry maybe couldn't indicate why or whatever. But when you go out there and look at that property, and I don't know how many of you have, okay, I've lived there for 20 years, so I've watched it, the results. That is nothing but a swampland, and all it's gonna do is create that creek to go more, and if you put in 100 houses there, how much area is now covered by concrete, and where is that water gonna go? It's gotta go somewhere, right? It can't soak into the ground now because you have all these structures there, whether it's business or houses. I'm not against growth in Prairie Grove at all. I wanna see Prairie Grove grow. But you're probably looking at one of the worst areas to put in businesses. That's because of the environment. And sure, they come back and say, oh, it's okay to do this, you do a little bit of this, you do a little bit of that. We don't know what's gonna happen in the future. And then if there is a problem, who's gonna be responsible? Can anybody give me any kind of feedback on that? That's what I'm interested in. You know, because if where's the first thing that people are gonna call when there's a problem? They're gonna call the city, aren't they? Because they might, I mean, am I right or wrong?
Yeah, we're just giving you your time.
Well, okay, but I mean, that's the thing, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to put. I ain't got a problem with houses, I got a problem with the businesses. I don't think we need businesses 2 blocks off of the frontage road. When you've got all this open property. That's next to the bypass. So I mean, it just, I don't know, like I said, I ain't got a problem with houses, but I do have a problem with businesses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, one other thing I
Yes,
did, when you do have a meeting for this, you guys asked me the last time, what could you do to inform people? Have you ever thought about posting signs at that property? I see Fayetteville do it all the time, where they will put a poster out about that big saying that they're gonna have a hearing. And I think that would be very well appreciated by people, because I know in that area, I wouldn't have been looking at it if there'd been a poster.
Thank you, sir. Any other comment?
Can I say a couple words?
Sure.
Do I need to?
Be better.
Wow. I just wanted to say a couple things, to the general public as well. So, you know, I'm not from Prairie Grove originally. I'm not from Arkansas originally, but I am from a very small town in Alabama. And they've seen progress as well. So I understand your concerns and I understand why you're here and you're saying what you're saying. From a development standpoint, the state and the federal level have so many laws and restrictions that we have to provide as people who are helping these guys develop this land that it's not gonna be all concrete and that sea of water goes into your place. Right? We've got laws and regulations that we have to follow to do what we have to do. When I put my stamp on my plans, it has to follow those things, right? So I hear you, I understand. I just wanted to make that a public note as well, that, you know, there are laws and regulations, whether it's from a city level or state level or federal level, that we have to follow, right? So when it comes to water detention, whether it's underground detention, whether it's providing a detention pond, whether it's, you know, rainwater gardens or whatever that may be the client decides to do, we have to keep that water in, and it has to flow out the same way that it was flowing in and out before we developed anything. Those are state and federal laws. So I just want to make sure that that point is well known, you know, that those processes are going to be played into. And, you know, I don't think that we necessarily have all the permission for what may or may not go in. We don't have a set of plans for what's going to happen right now, right? It's just a rezone for us to be able to potentially do what we want to do. So when we have that, I'm sure that it will be shared and that will be voted on as we go through the development process of the city of Prairie Grove. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you guys.
There were several questions there. Do you want me to answer?
Sure, that's fine.
Number one, the comprehensive rezoning that the city did in May of 2024. Comprehensive rezoning means the entire city had a new zoning map adopted for the entire city, okay? So there was many areas that changed, not just your area. There was areas along the highway, there was areas on the west side of town, there was areas on the north side of town. It was a comprehensive rezoning where everything was kind of brought into its current use. The planning commission spent more than a year monthly going over these plans, had multiple public hearings, public meetings to talk about these changes. Followed state law when we did it. We had engineers, we had planning consultants that led us through this process, and we followed the process that they told us to go through. So we didn't try to deceive anybody. We held multiple meetings. Like I say, we had public hearing right here in this room for that comprehensive rezoning to cover the whole city. So it wasn't that you were being sidetracked or anybody else was being sidetracked. We've had other people make the same comments you're making, that, you know, why weren't we notified? But again, it was the entire city that was being rezoned at one time. As far as the floodplain, you mentioned Fayetteville. Let me just tell you how floodplains work. Nothing Fayetteville did as far as development. It may have impacted the flood zone, but Fayetteville doesn't create the flood zones. FEMA's the only one that can do that. FEMA does floodplain planning about once every 10, 15 years. They have to decide whether or not they're gonna have to do a comprehensive study or just a standard study on any floodplain that they're looking at. Very rare for them to do comprehensive studies, but when they do, it's usually in urbanized areas. So if floodplain changes from one 10-year period or 12-year period, however long it takes FEMA to get it done, to the next, it's usually because conditions have changed, no doubt about it, but FEMA's the only one that can determine that, not, you know, the city has no impact in that. What was the other question? Roger asked about the process, and he kind of touched on it. You know, we can't touch on the drainage or how much streets because we haven't seen those plans yet. Yeah, there's gonna be streets, there's gonna be driveways, there's gonna be parking lots, there's gonna be roofs. Every one of those things impacts drainage. Every one of those things, as they do them, requires a drainage analysis by the engineer, and the engineer has to certify it and sign off on it. After he certifies it, Chuck Wiley back there in the back, who is the public works director, will send that to his engineer. His engineer is a former RDOT engineer who did drainage for RDOT. And he looks at it and he will tell us whether or not it meets the code or not. What the code is, when you have development, you can't discharge any more water than previously was discharged from that piece of property. So if you have 40 acres that's discharging a certain amount of water after development, it has to be exactly the same or less. The way they do that is usually through detention. They'll use detention ponds. Most of our big subdivisions nowadays have detention ponds. Some of them are mammoth detention ponds. If you've seen the one out of Hudson Heights, it's the size of a pond. I mean, it's a big detention pond. So far, even in some of our biggest floods, I haven't seen more than just a few feet of water in that thing. So there are things that we do to try to protect y'all. We get that, you know, everybody's concerned when development's coming. We can't tell you what the developer is going to do because I'm not sure the developer has fully decided yet. Tonight's just to look at the rezoning.
Thank you. More discussion, or are we good?
There may be the denial of the MUB two. I think you should put off to the next meeting. I think you should go ahead and initiate a public hearing for the MUB one and vote on both next meeting.
So just leave this on the table?
That'll give me time to confirm that it's not gonna cause any other issues, because we got to thinking about it. We don't wanna do anything that might harm them.
Okay. Then after, as far as we leave this
We'll
on,
take a vote tonight or make the motion tonight if that's what your plans are to initiate the other zoning, but let's not vote to deny until next month when you have the other one on the table.
okay,
You can vote for one and against the other.
okay, that makes sense, so we'll leave this on the table, and then,
Do we need a motion to leave it on the table?
I'm sorry.
Do we
I
need to
think
make
so.
a
Yes,
motion?
yeah, so I move to table that particular, number 2 and to initiate the change of the same proposal, but MUB 1.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second to leave this request for MUBT two, excuse me, on the table and initiate a request to change to MUB one. Any further discussion? Public comment regarding that question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Item 3, conditional use request from Mario and Stacy Quintana to operate a short-term vacation rental at 1010 Hudson Street. Any representative?
They are not gonna be here.
Okay.
They actually live in Oklahoma City. I told them that I would present there. The Quintanas are buying, they're under contract, and I think they may have started the house even since I took that picture. She thought they were supposed to start this week. They bought a lot in Cedar Meadows, 1010 Hudson Street. Their daughter owns a house in Hudson already. They're buying this as a house so they could be close to the kids when they come to visit. They're not staying with the kids. And they plan on their primary residence still being in Oklahoma City. So what they want to do is live in it when they're here visiting the kids, but rent it out as a short-term rental when they're not. I don't know of any other short-term rentals in this area. I don't think there's any in Mountain View or Cedar Meadows. So this would be the first one.
Is that one that you agree conditional?
Hmm?
Why would it be conditional use?
Because it's short-term rental and they require conditional approval.
Just like it.
So the house, I don't know what they're proposing. The house-
Before the house built?
Yeah.
Hey, Larry, do we have any of our new subdivisions that have gone up in the past 2 or 3 years, have we voted on this before?
Yes.
We have.
We probably vote on 1 or 2 of these a year, folks.
Yeah.
Not very many.
So this isn't out of normal.
No, we've not, in fact, I don't remember one ever being disapproved, but usually what we look at is to make sure that, you don't get a whole bunch of these lumped together. We usually try to make sure that they're kind of spread out. And again, I don't know of any that's in this general category at all.
Isn't there legislation that would remove?
It did not pass.
It did not pass, okay.
It did not pass.
I wasn't keeping it.
As I say, I always thought, it's probably good for us to make sure we don't get too many of these, just because housing is hard to get, but I run into it in Fayetteville too. They kind of put a moratorium on.
Fayetteville they have a numerical limit. I think it's like 1,400, and when it goes over 1,400, they stop issuing permits.
Yeah. And so maybe that's
These are hard to
something.
regulate. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, there's probably people renting houses right now, we don't even know that.
Yeah. It might be something to look into at some point to maybe try to keep honest people honest, but at the same time, I think that there's a good use for it in this area.
Yeah, these honestly are probably a bigger problem in places like Hot Springs and places like that where you have lots of tourists, but it's not been much of an issue for us.
Anyone have any comment from the public on this?
All right, I make a motion, we approve the conditional use request from Mario and Stacy Quintana to operate a short-term vacation rental at 1010 Hudson Street.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Item 4, request for rezoning from A1 to R1.5, parcel 805-20377-000 by Arch and Craft LLC.
Okay, this is of course 2 lots down from one that you rezoned for
What's
Dixie McFadden a couple months ago. Very similar lot, another one that's been cleaned up that I think the intention is to build a house on. The zoning fits with the neighborhood, so with that, you got anything you want to say?
I'm Caroline Fox. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. I have the picture. We're the red, green is for the A1. All of this is R 1.5, which is what we would like to rezone to, so we're just kind of acclimating with the neighborhood.
And this does not take in that old house, right?
It
This
is.
just that little,
We still got, we
deep
still
lot.
got one little house that Florida wish would find a solution for.
Just a single home is planned.
The plan is very, very rough. I
Okay.
think the goal is a lot split
Okay.
and residential uses.
Cause you can do, what, 3?
That's
I don't know
how,
how big it is, I'll have to look.
that's what I wasn't sure.
You know what I'm saying? You can do 3 per acre.
Yeah.
With the R 1.5.
No, you can do more than that, you can do 6 per acre, 6 per acre.
This is a half
R1
acre.
allows 4 per acre.
Half acre lot, okay, perfect.
So they could probably couldn't get 3, they could probably get 2.
Yeah, sorry, the lot split, as far as I know, was 2 lots.
Any problems? I make a motion, we
public comment.
public comment.
Any public comment regarding this rezone request? Okay, yeah,
Thank you.
Go for it.
That's why the meeting went for 2 hours last time. I wasn't
that's
here.
right.
Ordinance for rezoning from A1 to R15 Waco parcel 805-20377-000 submitted by Archer Craft LLC.
Have a motion and a second to recommend the rezoning. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, it will go to city council in,
Not this.
not
Monday,
this
but
coming Monday, but the next.
Week from Monday, it'll be on the council.
For that.
agenda.
Do you send an email about that?
I can.
I would appreciate it.
Anybody need to leave? It sounds like the weather's.
Hope you didn't leave your windows down.
So say those that did leave the outlet.
That would be the 9th.
All right, request for conditional use to allow a mixed-use residential in a commercial, / commercial in a CBD zone by Jared Bradley, 124 East Buchanan.
Jared is not here, but his better half is,
That's right.
much better half.
We won't tell him, except for it's recorded if he even puts that out.
This was, I think, you've probably been living there for a little while, but I don't think they were aware of the regulation.
We were not.
And soon, because we had others downtown that were living in, it was allowed, and it is allowed, but it's allowed by conditional use. So we've approved re-downtown, I think, we approved one on Buchanan Street across the street from them, and then we approved it upstairs on Box Street. So this is the third request we've had downtown. And Sarah, I'm trying to.
We're just trying to make that okay.
Yeah.
You have an apartment in the back, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And has it got full facilities or kitchen and?
It's a kitchenette type
Yeah.
situation, shower, washer, dryer, bathroom. It was originally for a storm shelter, so.
Interesting.
You never know. I didn't know if anybody had any other questions.
From the fire department standpoint, I mean, I have reservations, and then but the flip side is it's pros and cons. Probably cons first. I mean, that's living in an old historic part of town that's, I mean, got lots of issues as far as fire safety. And that just goes with the Main Street type that is. But the flip side of that, which was evident as we had an incident in a business just down the street, I believe last year before last, the fact that someone does reside there, it also provides a little protection because there's somebody there monitoring.
We did not get vandalized.
The building I'm talking about down the street had an electrical issue that initiated a fire, and fortunately it was during the daytime and they were there and probably stopped Main Street from burning.
That was a couple more.
Yeah, so I guess the only thing I would ask is if we approve it, it needs to be with the condition that the living facilities are brought up to fire code, with fire separation between the, living facilities and the rest of them.
It could also require, smoke monitoring.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, that would go along with the, I mean, if you brought up the residential, that part, I mean, your sleeping quarters, I mean, it'll need smoke protection or smoke notification.
Troy would be insured that, I guess.
That was my, from the fire standpoint.
Are there any gas appliances? Like, would you require carbon monoxide detectors as well, since they're living there, like if they're living there?
If there's gas appliances, then
Yes.
All right.
any public comments?
I make a motion that we approve the request for the conditional use to allow mixed-use residential commercial in the CBD zone by Jared Bradley and Sarah at 124 East Buchanan Street, with the note that it be brought up to residential fire code.
Well, it come, yeah, just fire code.
Fire
Yes.
And, will you help us with that?
Yeah, Troy will be,
You just contact me at City Hall.
Okay, okay, great.
Second.
or most, okay.
JC, does that come with a time frame? Is that something that Troy should be looking at as a 30-day window, 60-day, 90 days?
It needs a reasonable time frame. I mean, I leave that up to Troy to see what it's gonna require, and, I mean, I think people have set that fair, Troy.
Troy, can you make it like a visit down there?
I can, she just needs to set up a time and date that she's gonna be there or whatever, invite me down.
Hey, it wouldn't work that all.
I was there. But I'll call you and we can.
Yeah, I think time frame is whatever Troy feels would
I
be.
feel like we ought to make some type of appointment for next week and go from that point.
Sure.
That sounds good. Absolutely.
Any other discussion?
Thank you.
Have a motion second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Item 6, conditional use request to operate an RV park in a mixed use B2 zone
Next.
for Fun Shirt Friday LLC.
I am at the agenda.
But you didn't wear a fun shirt. I mean, cute shirt.
I will next time.
Okay, thank you.
So this is the same RV park we talked about, I think it was in December, January time.
They've gone through the concept twice, I think, so
Mhm.
they should be quite familiar with it.
Yep, so now we've got a little bit further and so realized that we haven't done our conditional use yet, so that is now why we are here. We are actually it's split zone, the lot is both MU B1 and 2.
Front half is 2, and it scoots back, I think, or somewhere. I saw the line adjustment.
It's on those plans I handed you, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
I can't remember either. I remember that, but I don't remember where.
Have we had any more comments, concerns?
I've had one property owner with concerns, mainly she's concerned about the drainage aspects of it.
That's the line, and shouldn't have done half size. 2 is in front, splits it diagonally, and 1 is in back.
Which they both
And
require.
really, for the purposes of this, it really doesn't, I mean, it's all gonna be used as one use, so it's not.
Mm-hmm.
But they both zones require conditional use approval.
Yeah, I think someone, don't quote me on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it does.
You, no.
I started to say, the only thing I was thinking is maybe the MUB1 wouldn't allow.
He's got it.
Yeah, no, they're both allowed with conditional use. I did have a question. I couldn't tell on the, is all of the pads gonna be concrete? There's not.
I believe right now we're stating asphalt, but.
Well, yeah, but it's solid surface, not
It is,
round.
yes,
Okay.
it's all,
And
the drivable
let me-
surfaces are all
Let me
asphalt.
remind everybody, we're gonna talk about the large scale just as soon as you vote on the conditions.
Mhm. Okay. Well, we'll keep it all in order. Right now, we're just looking at conditions.
Yeah.
Any public comment concerning this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Same rules as before.
Yes, sir. Calvin Bertram, 1550 East Butler Road. I'd like to know exactly where this is. I see it's on Heritage Parkway, but where at? There's not-
Are you familiar with where David's Roofing is?
Yes.
Okay, it's just before you get to David's Roofing on the left. There's a property there.
Harton's Furniture
Yeah,
and
yeah.
David's, you got in between
Yeah,
there.
because it didn't really say where on Heritage Parkway.
That
It
used
used
to
to have
be
the
the
little
A-frame.
A-frame house there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That overgrown lot that was there for so long.
yeah, okay, that's perfect.
All right, thank you. Any other comment?
All right. I make a motion, we approve the conditional use request to operate an RV park in MUB two zone for Fun Shirt Friday LLC on Heritage Parkway.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, I'll get my tongue untwisted
You're
a little
getting
bit.
good at this.
Hello, next.
Now, large scale development approval for RV park located on Heritage Parkway for Fun Shirt Friday.
Before we turn this over to Karen, let me just say that, we didn't get the drainage report. She sent it, but we didn't get it, but I think we've got it now. It's on my email.
You got it, okay.
Yeah. So Chuck will be submitting that to our review engineers to look at, but I would suggest that anything be contingent upon approving the drainage.
And I am now here to answer
Okay.
any design-related questions.
Okay, back to so all driving surfaces and parking surfaces for the RVs will be solid surface, asphalt or concrete. Okay, I just want sure the legend was a little. The concrete and the gravel were too close together to decipher what.
Yes. So the only, it's actually riprap would be around the, culvert flared in sections, just to, our culverts actually have pretty good fall across them, so didn't want the water blasting out the ground downstream.
So now this is a different set of plans than we were sent, or than I was, that
So
I
these,
looked at.
these are the set of plans that were not received along with the drainage report.
These got revised.
Okay,
She wrote them tonight.
Mhm.
so how many units total then?
So we're at 31 spots and 3 yurts.
Why don't you go ahead and come up and kind of show them where everything's gonna be, and then I'll bring that down, or if you three want to come over here.
It is a permanent tent.
Permanent.
They're canvas. Canvas.
Glamping.
Indian teepee.
They're pretty popular.
So we
Oh,
actually.
these are the yurts.
Yeah, yurts are up here next to our dog park. Public restroom is towards the back. These spots, I believe all the way around here are 80 feet. These are 70 because of the slope and the retaining wall. And then these are all 40 feet, and that's like to the radius return. Also just a little fun little amenity area, some horseshoe courts, hammocks. And
Are
then.
these depicting like a little cookout thing and a picnic table?
Yeah, so that actually would be potentially a mulch, gravel, some sort of pad in which you'd have your picnic table and a fire ring for all of the spots. And this is more probably a concern for Larry, but we will have, it's a septic system. And we did line out how it would be divided up. There's gonna be 4 different systems.
Each unit will have its own.
Everything,
Hookup now.
the new health department rule, if you provide water, you provide sewer. You cannot do partial.
Where's the, I'm assuming since it's a drip system, there's
Oh,
gonna
here.
be some equipment.
So this is all the area reserved for that at this time. Because of the rain, my septic designers had trouble digging his test pits. And so we're still fine tuning the very
Is there gonna be any
specifics.
kind of building or anything to have like the pumps or anything?
I don't
Think so.
think
Could be
so at this
boxes.
time. Cause also we are using the dog park as one of our drip fields.
Oh, cool.
So these are not aerobic, they're anaerobic?
I'm not very good with septic.
Well,
Cause you mentioned pumps.
they're doing a drip system as opposed to leach lines, okay?
Right, okay.
So basically you have a drip emitter that's 2-3 inches underground usually.
Yeah.
It emits water into the top. You're relying more on evaporation than you are water going down.
I think the pumps is a pressurized system.
Okay.
They're good systems,
So
and
it's anaerobic, but pumped.
we've had several of them go in town. Usually it's when the health department has issues with perk or space or.
And everything is pre-treated.
Nice.
Comments, questions, concerns?
You said you had, had a comment from, property owner about screening, Larry.
Denise Greathouse owns property behind that barely touches this. I think. Chuck, you know which one Denise is?
One corner there,
Well, this one.
That white one?
She's this property. She had some concern about drainage.
Oh, drainage, okay, I'm sorry, I thought screening.
No, she's obviously concerned about lighting too, but we won't worry about that till we see lights.
So the drainage, existing, there's a low spot that exits the site here, and then it, kind of goes off in either corner to the backside of the property. So we put a detention pond to this low spot, captures majority of the front that's just blasting off the, road there. And then we put another one here, which does capture majority of this. And then back here, we actually are trying to maintain as much of these trees as possible, so screening should
She
be.
will like that.
Yes, I mean, we didn't want to get rid of any more trees than we had to. So back here, and as of now, I think we can work with the trees with the drip system. Maybe not all of them, but most of them.
So the only thing we lack is drainage system.
The drainage review.
What you said we got,
We have a report, Chuck, who will be sending it off, I assume, probably tomorrow.
I hadn't received it before I left office. She said she was sending it a few minutes ago.
Yes.
But I would want to look at the, from the sanitary.
I was gonna say, will you have any review?
Is it close proximity to the drainage?
We are required to keep them 50 feet from any detention ponds, which as of now we are doing.
And so, it'd be in our city limits, we don't have anything with water that normally I would keep a, septic permit that comes from the state. And so I'd just like to have a copy of that one.
Wash and water will probably want that.
I don't want that as well, but if we get inside our city, I would like to have a copy of it.
Have you gotten approval from the health department for the septic yet,
I
or?
don't even have the septic fully designed yet, but we will be submitting to the health department to get that review.
Any public comment for the large scale? Comment from board?
Say, isn't, the Maloney business coming across the road?
They're quite a ways
From
from this property. There's actually a deep gully in between the two, so there would be no way to.
Or that might be something that,
We've had our own sewer issues with the Maloney business that Chuck's been dealing with. I think you've got that resolved now.
Do it help.
How far off of Heritage is this going to sit?
Oh, it's right on.
Yeah.
Right on that. You can tell all they've done the dirt work there, just by Hardens.
I mean, horizontally, you're looking at like 40 feet, vertically, probably 10 feet lower than Heritage. It drops off right there.
so the dog parks.
A preliminary plan that I saw before showed some screening and some trees up front, we're still gonna maintain that.
Existing trees on the front side are mostly gone because we can't actually drop as fast as it does. So grading wise, they wouldn't have survived, but, we are putting back trees,
Yeah, I think
but
that's all the
outside.
trees, yeah.
The health department, I don't know, is it, could take a little bit, I'm not opposed to this idea, but just throwing this out there to everybody, that it could take the health department a few weeks for that approval, if we approve this today. I don't know if we want to consider any contingencies based off that approval or not.
If you wanted to make a contingency, based on the drainage report getting reviewed and approved by the public works as well as the health department approving the septic, I think that's perfectly fine. Obviously, the health department's out of our control, right?
They won't get water without the health department.
They won't get water.
Any other questions, discussion?
I make a motion, we approve the request for large scale development approval for an RV park located on Heritage Parkway for Fun Shirt Friday LLC, contingent upon approving drainage as well as the health department approving the septic systems.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve large scale development for RV Park for Fun Shirt Friday. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right.
Would you like to comment on the next slide?
Tell us about that lion and.
It's pretty cool. Oh, boy.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, you finally take
The other direction.
the lead, take the motion. Cool, thanks, Blaine.
Hey, when is the one to get out of here? I got.
Next month, we're turning the air conditioning on a lot earlier.
No, it's cold in here.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Did you turn it off?
Thank you.